Hi, I'm Mans.
And I'm Monica, and this is
Bras Off, Walls Down, the podcast where we give you unfiltered stories, expert advice, and absolutely zero BS.
From relationships and careers to mental health and hormones, and all the stuff we're not supposed to talk about, nothing's off limits.
So take your bra off, get comfy, lay your walls down, and let's get into it.
Welcome to our third episode. I'm excited.
Episode 3 already.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good.
I've had no meltdowns this week. So.
No, I have. I've had a few. We have Nico with us today. She is a nutritionist, our first guest. So welcome.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here.
How are you?
Feeling great, actually. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, excited?
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about everything to do with nutrition today. We're going to go through some fad diet things, some mindset behind nutrition, and just hopefully give you something to take away at the end of the podcast.
Yes.
So some advice and some things that you can do and start implementing straight away.
Actionable advice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But before we get into it, the question we love to ask everyone is, what is your most recent I'm just trying to survive moment that you've had?
Well, this hits home. This is a good one. Yeah, this is a great question. So running a business, also having a child is probably the most challenging yet rewarding experiences ever. So I don't think I actually realised what I had signed up for once I got into the depths of it. And yeah, I think it was a case of, I am so passionate about what I do with my nutrition, with my business, the people that I serve. And obviously that was my first baby before I had my real life human baby. So trying to put the two together, it's a case of like, how do I manage my time when I've got a baby that's, now going through teething and he's crawling and he's doing all the things, plus trying to make sure that I'm giving the best, quality service to my clients, making sure my business is running and growing at the same time. And it's just time. Like, how do I manage my time? How do I do all these things? So there was a few months there where I was like, I'm literally just surviving right now. But it's been great because, with a lot of support, I've been able to, get through this time and realise that time management is something that I really need to work on. So I've made some adjustments in the business, and obviously that's now giving me back 10 to 15 hours a week.
Oh, that's huge.
Oh, wow.
Massive. Outsource hiring, dropping the personal training aspect of it and just completely converting online has meant now that I can actually thrive rather than survive. Yeah, it's been huge. And actually give a bit of time back to myself. That was the biggest one. I was just burning the candle at both ends. I wasn't able to train. My nutrition was slipping, just because the priorities were, I was giving all my efforts to those two areas, and I was like, well, now I've left 5 minutes to myself. And it was literally a case of survival. So very excited for the next few weeks because personal training ends and I now get to thrive even more, which is very exciting.
Yes. You don't have one specific moment. It's just been months of
months of surviving, literally. But it's I think there's a lot of character building that comes with it, because if I can get through that, now the other side of it is just going to be bliss.
Oh, hell yeah.
We hope. Which is going to be good.
We don't hope, we're manifesting.
We're manifesting. It will happen. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do. You mentioned you're, moving into the online space, solely into the online space. For all our listeners, let us know, who are you, how did you get to where you are, and what do you do?
Beautiful. So I'm Nico, obviously. Hello, everybody. I came from a place, I think, many, many moons ago where I always struggled with my weight. I was always bullied with weight. It was always something that was really quite prevalent in my life. And moving through, I went to an all-girls school. There was lots of, external, judgments, those types of things. It was really quite difficult. And I've come from a background where I've always been a bit of a tomboy, a little bit, always like to hang with the guys, like in that sort of sense. Very relaxed sort of primary school, and then moving into an all-girls school, it was very demanding, lots of external pressure. We sort of, the whole eating disorder thing really came to light from year 8. It was quite I guess not daunting, but it was just a lot to sort of take in at that age. So moving through 5 years of private school with those type of external pressures was really quite tough. And obviously having dealt with a lot of weight issues myself, I was in this kind of like, I don't even know who I am, what's going on type thing. And I hit about 19 years old, and I was like, something's got to change. Like, I need to take control of myself, my life. I was going down a bit of a treacherous path at that time. There was a lot of partying. You know, you turn 18 and it was like, you know, let's all go whole new world. And I just knew that with what I had dealt with previously, that if I kept going down that treacherous path, that I wasn't going to do anything to serve myself. I think it was more of a case of, you know, that instant gratification of, you know, young and trying to find yourself and who you are. I didn't really have much direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I took myself through my own weight loss sort of transformation, I guess, in a sense, but unfortunately did it in a very unhealthy way. Back then there wasn't as much social media. It was just a case of Googling, and I think that's where a lot of the issues started to arise. So it was a lot of your 1,200 calorie diets. You must eat as clean as possible. You must exercise 7 days a week. It was just really quite toxic. So whilst I lost all of this weight, it wasn't done in a healthy manner whatsoever. So I was training 6-7 times a week. I was on a treadmill for 90 minutes a day on strong incline, like trying to burn as many calories as I could whilst eating as little as possible.
Nothing sustainable.
Nothing sustainable. It was the fad diets. It was the dropping the carbs. It was focusing on just protein shakes. It was just all of these, trying to find what was going to work to just keep the weight off. It was skinny me teas. It was everything that we could put our hands on.
Oh, skinny me.
Yeah, God, what a time to be alive. The juice cleansers that, like, everything that I could try and get my hands on to try and keep this weight off, or at least lose more. It was like the whole idea of like being smaller to me was great, because everyone started commenting, being like, oh, you're looking so great, and rah rah. So I was getting this like gratification and thrive off being smaller. And I think coming from a place of bullying for being overweight, all of a sudden I was getting the attention of being skinny, and I was like, oh my God, I feel really good. People are noticing me now. I was getting lots of attention. Looking back on it now, in the healthiest time of my life now, I'm like, that was so toxic. Like, it was just absolute. But in that mindset, you just don't know what's sort of going on.
Yeah.
But then I went and did my personal training qualifications, because I was like, now I want to help people and I actually want to learn how to do this properly. So entered the fitness industry 11 years ago as a personal trainer, but went more down the path of managing gyms, sort of sales, that type of thing as well. And again, back then it was still a very toxic environment. The fitness industry 11 years ago was not a great sort of, I guess there was a lot of external pressures and a lot of sort of, opinions about things that made things very difficult. So you kind of always felt really quite swayed as to where to go. But over time I did a lot of learning and that type of thing. So I got myself to a point where I was like, okay, just eating regularly and eating properly is what's actually going to help you to be the healthiest and the happiest that you can be. And it was a sustainable way that I did that. But then over time I realized that I didn't have as much nutritional knowledge as what I could have had. I was just kind of following what everyone else was doing and hoping that that would work for me as well, which now, as we know, what works for you is what works for you specifically, right?
Different for everyone.
Different for everyone else. So I did my nutrition qualifications and learnt how to eat, learnt how to sustainably create a lifestyle for myself that I would be able to continue forever. I managed to obviously get myself into a position where I'm at my happiest and my healthiest. I don't do anything that is considered a quick fix. Everything is just really quite sustainable. And by doing that, that's where my passion has really come, to be able to show women that you can do this too. There is a way to do things. There is a way to achieve your goals. There is a way for you to live a happy, healthy life forever, and it's not by following fad diets, quick fixes, what everyone else is doing, all those types of things. So my passion is to show people that there is a way out there. We are so controlled by social media, external pressures, and I think more now where it's so prevalent in our society, it's terrifying, I think, for the younger generation especially.
100%. Yeah.
Having, like, I've got an 8-month-old, and like, yes, he's a male, but however, they can still get so,
I've seen it,
you know,
all the bad habits. Yeah.
It's terrifying. You know, my sister's 20. Thankfully, she's a very strong-minded girl, so she's not ever been sort of swayed by social media. But you see what's happening around her, and it's like, oh my God, like it just feels like it's getting worse and worse. So I want to be that sort of role model and that sort of coach and that person that is able to show you that you can achieve your goals, and you don't have to eat less, you don't have to go and do this,
move more, but yourself out,
clean eat, do all of those things. You can still enjoy life, you can still go out on the weekend and socialize, you can do all of these things whilst living the healthiest, happiest life that you can. And I think by just having that passion behind it, it's been really successful,
And
you
you've
know?
been through it. I think it's refreshing to know that, like, it's horrible that you've been through it, but you've been there. You've done that, you have experience.
Yeah.
Been on that journey.
Yeah. Walk the talk. Yeah, exactly. And I can empathize. I know what it's like to be in the position of the people that come to me being like, I've tried this diet, I've tried that diet, I've tried this diet. It's the most common thing I get. All I do is yo-yo diet. And I'm like, I empathize with you. And like, I'm so sorry that you're obviously experiencing this, but let me show you the way to do it. And my mission is for people to come on board with me and to obviously work with me, and they never have to do anything ever again. Just one time and you're done. Yeah. Which is great.
No, it's not a quick fix. You're not the quick fix.
No, I am not a quick fix, and I will not promote quick fixes. And I tell that to every single person that comes into my world. I'm like, I'm not here for quick fixes. It's going to take a bit longer. We chip away because I want you to be able to only do this once and once only. And
without you, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you're able to go off on your own and feel confident that you don't need me anymore, then my job's done.
Oh, that's great. Nice to hear.
That is really refreshing.
When so many things are set up so that you will fail and you will keep coming back to them.
Yeah. It's nice to know that there are people out there that
genuinely care. Literally. Yeah.
You know, because, you know, talking about social media, even for myself, and I've suffered from ED multiple times through different periods of my life, depending on what's going on. And social media, you know, is both the best thing and the worst thing. But one of the things I'd love to know more about, your opinion on, really, is the fad diets and the, you know, obviously there's a new one popping up every fucking week. You know, if you open your Instagram feed, and that's, you know, obviously the algorithm works to what you search and are interested in. So there is all these different diets. You've got carnivore, you've got, you know, where you've got to watch your glucose. It's actually absolutely terrified me of ever starting my day with something sweet. You've got paleo, you've got fucking all the different ones. Yeah. There are so many out there, and you watch these people and they're very passionate about the way they deliver their messages and quite strong, and obviously that's what's worked for them. But as someone who's not educated and has access to all this information, and you're looking at all these different diets in front of you going, oh, well, I have this wrong with me, and maybe that works and that worked for them, and you're like, how the hell do you navigate that when you're looking at all of that information, and you're like, what advice do you have for those that are looking at that going, is this for me? Should I do this? Is this the one? Should I, you know, give this one a go? Like, where do they start?
My one biggest piece of advice, and I want everyone to have to remember me saying this every time they see a new diet. It's a marketing scheme. It's literally a marketing scheme, because essentially every fad diet out there has the same principle. They have you in a calorie deficit, but they've just got a different way of doing it. So, for example, keto. Keto would be only a diet, for example, that I would give to somebody that is borderline diabetes and we're needing, like, it's more of a medical type thing. But again, out of scope, so you like almost like refer them on to someone else. But essentially, they're cutting out carbs, so they're reducing their calories significantly. So yeah, sure, you'll see the results. But what happens when you want to have a pizza again? Or what happens when you want to eat something else and all of a sudden you can't do that, and you start to lose that quality of life in a sense because you can't enjoy the things that you want to do? So these people are so passionate about it is because, sure, it might work for them, but we first of all don't see what's happening behind closed doors. Are they pulling their hair out every day going, I feel so ravenous because I'm not eating enough food, for example? They're strong in what they say because it's a marketing scheme at the end of the day. They want you to follow this new trend and jump on their train because it's money in their back pocket.
The salesman.
It's exactly right. And that's what's so like conflicting about social media is everyone's getting really good at marketing, and everyone's getting really good at selling this idea of like, this is going to work for you and this is going to change your life. Sure, but like, what happens when you're a human being and you want to do human being type things? And I think that's where it gets really tough, because people go, sure, like it works for a few weeks, but then all of a sudden I get invited out for the girls to go for a pasta night and I can't come because I can't eat carbs. You know, those types of things. So I think the biggest thing is to remember is they all have the same back principle, which is reducing your calories significantly. So yes, sure, you'll see the results. So in that first few weeks, you're like, cool, I'm like, it's working, I love this. But then you need to realize it's like, the biggest thing I say to so many people is like, in 5 years' time, do you see yourself doing this, whatever diet that it is that you're on? And 9 times out of 10, they go, well, probably not. And I'm like, well, then why are you wasting your time? Like, why are you spending this time trying to make this work? If it's not actually going to fit within your lifestyle, you're literally wasting your time. And that's where that whole yo-yo happens, because then they go, oh, maybe this one then works. Or maybe I just need to flick it to this one. And that's it. You just lose so much confidence in yourself because you think it's a you thing because it's worked for these people on social media. And I say that in inverted commas.
Yeah.
it's worked for them, but has it actually really worked for them, or are they just selling the dream to you, which is really tough.
Yeah, like I think one of my biggest ones as well is when and I saw a great meme about it the other day actually, but it was like, yeah, when I was 20 I had my best body ever as well. You know, when you see women that are like 20, they've always had that body and they're promoting a diet, you know, some way of eating, some sort of product, patch, something, and you're like, oh, I want to look like that. And then you have to pull yourself up on it and be like, well, hang on a minute, she's 20. I looked like that when I was 20 before kids as well.
Yeah.
I'm already doing that. I'm 24. Yeah. Looking back at photos from 3 years ago and I'm like, hang on, when should I look like that?
So it's so noisy out there in that space and it's hard, but I do love that about would you be doing this in 5 years time? Because there's so many, like there's one and she's actually in Perth, gorgeous fucking girl, she's stunning, but she sits in one of the parks and eats an entire, and I don't like steak, but this steak is probably like 3 inches thick and like, you know, 7 inches long, and she just sits there and gracefully devours this entire steak and a stick of butter and, you know, what have you. And
I know, I'm so triggered.
As someone who's had so many issues, especially through endo and all the flare-ups and the bloating and everything else that comes with that, I've looked at this and gone, and I'm an ex-vegan for 5 years vegan, and I look at this and I'm like, oh, maybe I should give the carnivore diet. Maybe this is the answer for me, and it's so hard to not fall into that trap.
Absolutely.
See those.
Yeah, because you see, but that's the thing. It's like when we look at the 20-year-olds. When I was 19 years old, I had no responsibilities. I didn't have a demanding job. I didn't know that my job's demanding, but it's like I didn't have a job that requires serious brain power. I didn't have, I could focus on just that one thing and sure it'll work. But then it's like, then you start to grow up a little bit and you realize that like, yeah, you start having kids and you start doing these things. That's not going to work. The 20-year-old us, that's why, we compare ourselves to, people that when we're younger, and it's absolutely nuts because it's just not sustainable. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's carnivore diet is probably the most prevalent at the moment. Like it's huge.
I know people that are on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I've got family members that came to me being like, this is what I'm doing. And unfortunately, like obviously they come to me kind of trying to see if I will validate their choices. And I just, at the end of the day, like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. So my whole thing is like, have you considered the fact that, there's no nutrients in your diet right now, or the fact that you're filling your body with so much cholesterol and saturated fats that you could actually be causing more issue for yourself later on as opposed to now. So sure, you get the instant gratification of, looking really lean, but like what's going to happen to like you in 10 years when all of a sudden you're like, I've got no energy and I can't get out of bed because I've just not looked after myself for the last 10 years. So
most people are doing a carnivore diet, but they don't move their body still. Like it's still a thing where they're doing a diet, but they're not moving their body. They're not training. They're not doing anything to even go with it. So
it's like, what's the point?
And again, you're still going to get older.
Yeah.
And you're going to have other issues and even more because you're not doing another thing. Like it's just a whole circle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that vicious cycle. You just go round and round and round until you find what works. And that's why I'm like, yep, well, what will work is what works for you specifically. Yeah. Not trying to chase what everyone else is doing. But yeah, carnivore, that's probably like the one question I get at the moment. It's like, what do you think of the carnivore diet? And I was like, have you got 10 minutes? Have you got half an hour? Have you got an hour? I'm talking about this all day.
Well, anyone that is considering that right now because they feel like that's what's working for everyone else, what advice would you give to them?
It goes back to that same question. It's like, could you eat a stick of butter? I mean, I cringe when I say that. It's like, could you eat a stick of butter and steak every single meal of the day for the next 10 years?
Just reminds me of Homer Simpson. That's a stick of butter with a piece of butter.
That is a good question though. Like, definitely ask yourself that. Would you be doing this for 5-10 years?
Because I think a lot comes down to like, and it's so much about mindset. It's like, we don't actually, I think we're in like such a hustle mentality that we're also go, go, go. We're not actually stopping for 5 seconds and having a think about or reflecting on how our actions and our decisions will actually impact us later on. They kind of go, oh, yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. And I'm just going to do that and then just keep moving forward. But it's like
gratification, quick fixes.
Yeah. It's like, just stop and just have a think and be like, okay, will this work for me? Could I do this every day? I love steak. Don't get me wrong. Like I go and get ginger meats. Their steak is amazing. I know that you're a big best meat ever.
It is.
I love steak. But could I eat it 4 times a day? Absolutely not. So it's kind of like, you've got to almost come back to that question of like, could you do this forever? Yeah. It's you're losing so many vitamins and minerals from not having, all the extra nutrients and stuff in your diet. So it's just, it's not sustainable overall.
Yeah.
So taking us from what you shouldn't be doing with fad diets, obviously with your work you would probably enforce more positive things, and it is a lot about mindset.
Yeah.
Overall, how do you work with people? And when it comes to the mindset of nutrition, what does it look like, and what should you be doing, and how do you bring it all together and make good decisions for yourself?
I think it comes down to, obviously, like I say to so many of the people I work with, like I work with the person individually. So it's all about sort of figuring out what the mindset triggers are and what's kind of got you to this point. And it's like I just guide you in the right direction. So this is why I think when I create sort of meal plans for people specifically, I really sort of map out what a day should look like for them, how to create a balanced meal, those types of things as well. And it's about taking action. So it's more a case of, let's just do this for a couple of weeks and see how you feel. And obviously a lot of the mindset goes, but like, they're kind of fixated on that sort of fad diet and like, this doesn't feel like, a diet. But then they also get the positive of like, oh my God, I actually get to eat this stuff. I'm like, absolutely. And I've done it specifically for you. So it's all the foods that they love to eat. There's never any restriction in that. So, if I always say to them, would you like to have, are you someone that enjoys a sweet treat in the evening? Yeah, cool. We'll put that in your meal plan. And 9 times out of 10, all of my clients have literally said to me, I can't believe you've just overcome that fear of having something sugary in my day, because I feel like I'm not allowed to have anything bad because of what these diets have sort of created. Yeah. So we build on the mindset that way by showing, like, it's like kind of taking action with like the solution, I guess, in a sense. Yeah. But when they do take action and they implement these things and they start to see the results and they feel how much better they feel, we start to really unravel that mindset just naturally, because they go, it's proven to them that it works, I guess, in that sense. Yeah. But it's about sort of breaking down those barriers. So it's asking the questions of like, why? Like, why is this is the biggest question I ask, why do you want to follow a diet? Why do you want to, why do you think this is going to work? And when you really break it down, you really get to the point of like, at the end of the day, they just want to feel good in their own skin. They want to feel confident. They want to embody that kind of confidence that they see so many people with. And I'm like, well, that's how we do it, but we have to do it in a sustainable way. The reason you've lost confidence is because you're trying so many things and nothing has worked. So naturally your confidence is diminished 100%. So when we implement these sustainable methods and they realize, oh my God, I could stick to this, I could do this forever. My family's involved, we're all cooking together, I'm not having to eat separately. The mindset already starts to change, because it's about bringing things to awareness. Yeah. And the biggest thing about change is awareness and bringing things to light. So I think when you show people the way, and people start to go, okay, cool, this is actually working, it makes the biggest difference to mindset shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
What would you say is the first step to sort of these mindset shifts? Is it sort of getting pen to paper and actually figuring out what it is that's been a barrier in the past, or why they've got the thoughts they do around food and, as you said, the diets and something like that? What would the first step look like for someone that's listening now going, fuck, this is me, I've yo-yo dieted all my life, I just want to feel good, and they know they need to do something and take action? What is the first step for them?
Something they can do like today.
I think the first thing is stepping away from a lot of, I guess, not consuming or comparing on social media and what sort of everyone else is doing. So really realizing that you are your own person and like you're in your own lane. So it's kind of taking a step back and being like, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? What do the next 5 years look like? And it's about, again, everything starts with awareness to me. So I think it's about sort of having a bit of self-reflection and being like, okay, what is it that I want to achieve? How is my life going to be sort of impacted in that way? And so I usually say, like, I get a lot of people to do it. It's like sitting down and actually asking yourself these questions, writing it down, and that way you're actually able to visibly see, what is it? What do I want to achieve? What's held me back? Why has this sort of held me back? So for example, it's like, okay, I want to lose 10 kilos. Okay, why do you want to do that? Because I want to feel confident. Okay, so what's held you back in the past? I've compared myself to other people. So once you start asking yourself these bit more deeper questions, your awareness starts to raise, and that shifts mindset so quickly, because people go, oh, they have that light bulb moment where they go, oh, it makes sense now. I see what I'm doing. And they can start to actually change the trajectory of their path, because they go, all right, so I can see that I've in the past wanted to yo-yo diet, but by me comparing myself to others, I've like dropped my confidence, because I know that yo-yo dieting clearly doesn't work. So therefore you can start pulling yourself away from social media accounts that you are comparing yourself to, unfollowing the accounts that are bringing you down as opposed to lifting you up. Those types of things can make the biggest difference. And I think when you start to really change your environment around it, your mindset starts to shift and you're able to start to really make those strong positive changes and going, okay, cool, like now I'm surrounded by positive information and stuff that's going to lead me down the right path, which is going to be great.
Yeah.
If it looks like a yo-yo diet, then we stay away from it.
Yeah, exactly. So don't fall victim or don't fall into the trap of the marketing scheme that so many people are good at now, because they know how to get you. They know what the pain points are. They know how to hit your emotional ties. And they do it because they know that works.
But it works because people are looking for that quick fix. So obviously you know that it doesn't just happen like that overnight. It happens slowly. How do people like get to the point where they realise it's not going to happen overnight? It's going to take time. How do you get there?
I think it's always going to be particular to the person, because everyone's background's different. Everyone comes from a different place. Everyone comes from, different cultures, different upbringings, different parental styles. Parental styles is a big one. Things that have been programmed into us as young children. That's huge. So I think that's going to be dependent on the person. But I think it's more a case of, it's starting to almost go inward and figuring out, okay, what are my tendencies? Why do I want to do this? And it's like a quick fix at the end of, a quick fix at the end of the day is quick, because you'll get that quick result and then it just all comes back down. So
use it again.
The question to ask yourself is, would you rather do 10 quick fixes and get yourself back to square one every single time? Or would you rather spend a little bit longer doing something, chipping away at it, seeing those incremental changes, but building the habits with it that support the weight loss overall? Because every diet, like I said, works because it's a caloric deficit, but your habits don't match it. So by doing it slowly, you're actually able to pair the habits with the changes that you're making in a way that you can actually continue it forever.
Making big drastic changes overnight.
Exactly. So my biggest thing is and this is something I'm really preaching at the moment, it's just focus on one thing at a time. Focus on one thing at a time. One thing at a time, because we are living in a society, we're living in a hustle mentality right now where everyone's like, go, let's try and achieve and do more.
Being busy is the cool thing.
And naturally we are, us three can definitely all understand that busy is a thing. We all are busy, we're all mums, we've got a lot on our plate, but it's about, if we're trying to add too much too quickly, nothing's going to stick. And those quick fixes are all deep dive, quick, do it all as fast as you can. So I think by focusing on one thing, making one small change, implement that, move on to the next.
And that one thing almost has to become a habit, and you can do it without thinking, without any resistance.
That's what a habit is. So
and it has, because one thing you said to me the other day, Monica, that actually has stuck with me is, she's like, because for anyone listening that doesn't know, Monica is a personal trainer, and I have started to work with her. I'm trying to feel trying to look and feel my best, like physically and mentally, for my wedding next year. And something you said to me about being uncomfortable, and this was something huge for me, and like a little bit of a light bulb moment about, you've got to feel uncomfortable first. And I in so many other forms, when I've done coaching training in, not personal training or nutrition, but this is something that I've said as well, it's going to feel uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Absolutely.
So I think that is something that's probably really good to point out as well, if you're looking at making these changes. And I'd love to know in a minute, Nico, what sort of that long-term sort of looks like. But you're gonna feel uncomfortable at first.
Absolutely. I'm such a big believer in that. In order to be comfortable, you have to firstly be uncomfortable. And again, it's with obviously the method that obviously I provide, for example, it feels uncomfortable because people go, I've never heard about this before. This is what, what I mean? That's why it feels uncomfortable, because they're like, does this work? Because I haven't been sold on this idea of this working. And so they go, but then
there's no quick
fix. I'm not promising you 10 kilos I'm not promising you 10 kilos in 3 weeks. It's like, I'm not going to happen. So they kind of go like, I feel uncomfortable here. And I'm like, let's just move with the motions. And all of a sudden they go, okay. And then the comfort starts to build. And it's like with anything, goal achievement, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's to do with your whatever your specific goals are, uncomfortability, I love it. Maybe uncomfortable as much as you can.
I'm like, exposure therapy.
Literally. It's awesome.
Definitely being uncomfortable is gonna get you to where you want to be in all elements, whether it is your training or your mindset or your eating or business or anything like that. It's funny, I said that to you, but you're the one actually physically pushing me into uncomfortable situations right now that are helping me grow.
Well,
we bring it back around with each other.
It's something that I tell people all the time, but not something when it comes to eating for me that I I'm so focused on being in a calorie deficit for such a long period of time because of my background in modeling and dance and what the effect that had on my eating.
Yeah.
That I was like, and everything you said made sense. And then I was like, fuck, I do have to be fucking uncomfortable. I fucking know this.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, you're not changing. And if you're not changing, you're not going to see any different results.
Yeah.
You're going to stay exactly where you are. There's that great saying, and I butcher it every time because I forget it. But so I'm not even going to fucking try.
I want to get a great saying.
But I'll look it up and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
We'll help you look smart. But yeah, it's you definitely have to get uncomfortable to see that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say that to clients as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Has that worked? No. All right. Well, time to be uncomfortable. Try something different.
Try something different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've tried all these other things and grabbed them all up straight away and they haven't worked. So what's the difference between trying something else now that's not going to give you quick gratification?
Exactly.
It's going to get you there slower, but you've got to be willing to give that a go and be uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
Because you were bloody uncomfortable before when you were doing keto and carnivore and
all of those things.
So,
yeah. And that right there, that's the mindset shift. It's like showing you, okay, you've done that hasn't worked. So what's to say that this, you know what I mean? It's like change, like all of those things have got one key idea, I guess, behind it. So it's like, you haven't done this, but so what's stopping you from trying this sort of thing? And
this
then
they
kind of go, oh, okay, no, she's right. You know what I mean? And it's uncomfortable, but like it works for a reason, you know?
And can you share with us what long-term sustainable success in that actually looks like? Like, they know the fad, we all know what fad diets look like, we all know what they feel like, we all know calorie deficit, we all know we're probably not going to be comfortable and we fall off the wagon and that's it, we go the opposite way quite quickly. But moving forward, say someone was working with you, what does long-term actually look like? What does that look like on the table? What does that look like in their shopping carts? What does that feel like?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is I'm always basing, like, obviously when anyone first comes on, it's like basing everything around a balanced meal. I think that's the biggest one. You want to be nurturing yourself, obviously protein, all the right ingredients that are actually going to help you to feel your best every day. Because if you're not feeling good, you're going to go, what's the point? I don't feel great. Like, why am I doing this? That's the biggest one, is making sure that you're focusing on, 80% whole foods and 20% fun foods. I'm not a restrictive coach. I will still give you all of the fun things in your diet. I will give you protein pancakes. I will do all of the fun things. It's not, so that's where it's sustainable. It's where you can look at what you're eating and not feel like you're on a diet, because now we know that diets are temporary. And I think the more that we bring this to light, the better it's going to be overall. But I want people to feel like I could do this every day and I could do this forever. That's my mission. I want people to be eating like they can eat forever. So it's still including the fun ingredients in your day. It's still but making sure you're still nourishing yourself with the foods that are actually going to help you to feel your best at the same time. So there's no need to, and I don't use the word hate, but I hate the word like cheat day, for example. Like that's where it's like, because if you're cheating on it, it feels like you're doing something wrong. So people go, oh, do I get a cheat day? No, you don't get a cheat day. That's not a thing. I don't have cheat days because you're having something every day, so you don't need to cheat on it. You know what I mean? So it's creating the lifestyle where you are eating to nourish yourself, but you're also nourishing your health, but also nourishing your soul. I think it's the biggest one.
Soul food.
It's important, because then you're never feeling like you need to go and have a day of binging, couch rotting, and just sitting on the couch eating as much as you can, because you're like, I'm not going to get this for another 6 days. Like, it's the most unhealthy, restrictive than binging type manner.
I think we've all been
there 100%. So I think it's about creating, that's how you sustain it for the long haul, is never feeling like you have to cheat on what you're doing, I guess, in a sense. But then also, to me, for example, calorie deficit, it serves its purpose, but it's a phase. It's why it's called a deficit phase, because you only stay in it for a certain amount of time. Once you go through the motions of it, it's about, I think, and this is what I think so many people fear when I start to bring their calories up, and they go, oh my God, but I'm eating more. Oh my God, but I'm eating more. And I'm like,
I can feel that fear in my stomach right now. Yeah.
And it's just, they just see the calories increasing. And I think there's this whole idea of like, I need to eat less to lose less. And I'm like, no, you actually need to eat more, because that's how your body's going to thrive. You need to eat more to thrive. Your body's going to burn a certain amount of calories a day just to survive on its own. Like, you're burning calories in your sleep. That doesn't mean now go and eat. And huge amounts of food. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, you'll have a certain amount of calories that your body burns to survive, and then you'll obviously have your output and whatever it is. So you need to, over time, increase your calories. And with that, your body's going to thrive even more. You're going to start to actually have more energy to do the things that you want to do. And then I bring my clients up to a maintenance and they're like, oh my God, I'm seeing so much better results. You know, I'm able to build muscle. I'm actually looking leaner than what I was before.
That's a big one, the actual physical changes that start coming up.
Yeah.
People are like, how do I feel smaller, I feel stronger, I have muscle definition, but I'm eating more.
Yeah.
Is mind-blowing for people.
Exactly.
To be able to actually see that, because you can say it to people and they're like, whatever.
You actually need to lead the horse to water to make it, you know what I mean?
When they see it, they're like, what?
Yeah. It's wild. It's just why I'm like sitting in that sort of like, I guess I call it like, you know, the maintenance phase of, you know, eating the amount that you should be eating to sustain what you've lost or whatever you have achieved is huge, because you're actually going to see the best results within that time. So when I bring people up, they go, oh, I'm freaking out a little bit. So I do it gradually. They adjust to that and they go, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel more energy. I'm starting to feel that muscle build. And that's the awareness getting built again. Then you bring it up a little bit more. And that's how you make it sustainable, because you haven't gone through these highs and lows of lower calories, high calories, low calories. So your body's gone, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm freaking out. Makes it way more sustainable overall, which would be good.
That made me think of something. I can't remember who I heard it from, but they said that, and I want to know what your thoughts are. As like a society, everyone talks about like we've got a weight gain problem. Everyone's overweight. Everyone's this, that. We need to lose weight. Need to move more. All of that. But I'm a big believer in this. As soon as I heard it, I think as a society we have a big problem with learning how to maintain. Like we can't maintain, and so many people, I feel, don't have an issue with overeating or undereating. Or they actually just, if they sat in a maintenance, if they just went straight to just maintaining where they're at, they probably would see a massive change straight away anyway. So people jump from this big high of overeating or, you know, going up and down, and then they jump straight down to a deficit. But I think if they sat at maintenance, they would see a huge difference.
I think people do really struggle, because like exactly like you say, it's like we are so surrounded by like lose weight, you need to weigh less, you need to do more. So people do these fad diets and they're constantly in this cycle of trying to find that next thing. So sure, like you're losing weight, but then it's a case of like how do you maintain it? And I think it's about, you need to have the support behind you of someone that actually can figure you out as a person, because if you try and do it, like, I guess you can do it on your own, but there's a lot of trial and error that sort of comes with it. So when it comes to sort of bringing up to a maintenance, it's doing it slowly but surely. You know, once you've obviously achieved what you want to achieve, coming up slowly, but then you need to have the habits behind it that support it. You're going to be, you know, that's how you maintain it, is if your habits, and this is why, again, those 8-week challenges, all of those types of things don't work, because the habits aren't there to support it. So if your mindset's not there and your habits aren't there to support it, everything that you've achieved is just going to go straight into the bin. So it's about, you know, making sure you know how to go out and socialize within your means. You know, it's not going out and using it as an opportunity to go and blow out, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're going again through these highs and lows and that type of thing as well. Learning how to manage your life. It's about, like, maintenance is not just about maintaining your food, it's also maintaining your lifestyle. I think it's a huge one, because the two go completely hand in hand.
So for anyone that's listening now and they're sat here, some of them with I can feel the tears in mine. I hate talking about food. It's still such a massive trigger, I think. But for anyone who's sat there going, fuck me, I know I need to make change, where do they start? What would your advice be to them, that's someone that's realizing now that they've spent their whole life, or, you know, a good portion of it, yo-yo dieting, they've not seen the results, or maybe they've seen massive results and then they're back where they started, they're feeling shit. What would your advice to them be? It would be to look at food as nourishment and not as a punishment. So we don't want to be over-restricting to obviously trying to obviously achieve your goals. It's looking at what's on your plate. You know, I think it's the biggest one. It's not about just what you eat, it's how much you eat. I think it's a big one. And that doesn't mean go and restrict your calories completely, but portion control is huge. So looking at portions and making sure you're building out a balanced plate that's actually going to nourish you so that you're feeling your best, but also being able to also achieve what it is that you want to achieve. That would be where I'd firstly start. So, you know, making sure you have a balanced plate of protein. You know, I usually say for females is like from the tip of your middle finger to your palm, piece of protein. Carbohydrates is, you know, a cup of your hand. Then then fill the rest of your plate with vegetables. Huge one. Looking at your portion is huge, but also making sure your plate is balanced, I think is a huge one. And then for males, it's double
the amount, which is great. If you're then just at this point where you're like, I just really don't know, speak to a professional. I think it's the biggest one. You don't have to do this alone. And I think there is this fear of like, oh, I'm going to get judged, or like, are they going to help me? And I've tried so many things before, but like, we're in the positions, I, for example, am in this position because I've been in the same shoes as those who are feeling those angst of like, oh, I just want to achieve what I want to achieve and I haven't been able to. This is why I do what I do and I'm so passionate about it. It's because you don't have to do this alone. And I want you to know that there is the solution out there. You just need to seek the support for it, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, not fearing food, and I guess that is so easy to say, I guess, for so many, but it's like, look at food as a way to nourish yourself, because your body's going to thrive more from eating the foods that are actually going to support your body overall, which I think is really important. Yeah. So just looking at your plate more.
Amazing. Something that's simple then that you can start with. Yeah, awesome. And for anyone that is going, right, I need to work with Nico right now, I need her help, she is the person for me, where can they find you?
So my Instagram is Revolution Health Coaching. So that's on Instagram. I'm also revolutionhealthcoaching.com.au on my website as well. I don't go by my name. I like to keep a little bit of a disguise behind that. Obviously, it's very easy. I put my name all over my socials, so I really don't hide behind it.
For ourselves, we've got to separate it a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, I didn't want to just make this about me. I think I wanted to have a business that I'm able to cater to different people with obviously the team that I have behind me. I've got a dietitian, so if anyone comes to me and it's, they're in a position that maybe is a bit out of scope for myself, I refer them on to my dietitian that's on my team. So we've got the support behind us. So we're collectively a team. I never want to just be that head honcho that just runs the show. We collectively all work together to ensure that people are in the best hands, which is good.
I love that.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, my brain's going like this because I'm like trying to remember all the good bits, but we'll pop some stuff in the show notes and we'll pop all Nico's details in there so that if you want to find her and get her advice or work with her,
I'm working with her myself and I trust her with my clients.
There we go.
This is true. This is true. You can find her there, but thank you so much for coming
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
And we definitely have to have you back on so we can dive deeper into some other issues and
100%.
Some other questions that people might have after this episode.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. That was awesome.
That was really good.
Both because it was our first ever official guest on. And it was a really good one to start, because I feel like for me personally, especially, I don't know about you, is something that is all over social media at the moment. And I don't know if that's just the algorithm is really fucking targeting me, because I'm on my journey at the moment and I'm trying to do it in a healthy way this time, in big capsule letters. But I think it's a conversation that we need to have. Yeah. And there's going to be so many different feelings around it.
And different takeaways from everybody.
Yeah. What were your main takeaways?
My main takeaways were the forgetting about the fad diets and the mindset behind that, and really reshifting what you're focusing on. So when she mentioned removing what you're consuming, and even on social media, that's really big, and it's something I do within my coaching as well, with girls looking at other people's bodies, and I have people pull up their phone and be like, I want this body, and I'm like, what? So I'm
only laughing because I did that with you. That's why I laughed. I'm not laughing at your clients. I'm laughing because
it's something that you consume, and doing that even with nutrition. If you see it and it looks like a marketed fad diet, a trend, it's something that if you know you're going to potentially get sucked into it or question yourself because of it, removing yourself completely. That's something that you can do. Yeah, that's something that you can change. Yeah, you have the control over what is going to be in your face. So removing that and putting something in place and replacing it with something that you are going to look at that's going to be positive. Someone like Nico's account, I don't follow anything to do with food. I don't post anything to do with food unless it's Nico and maybe two other women in the industry that I believe in, because they're positive and it's not just gimmicky marketed stuff. So that was a big takeaway for me, and that's something that I would say to anyone, implement it now. Get on your phone, and if your algorithm is pushing those things, even for you, Amanda, if they're pushing those things, you've got to slowly chip away and get rid of it. Yeah. And start replacing it with more positive things.
Yeah, it's hard. And because it is right there, and you have access to that information and to that at all times. You know, you sit down on the couch, you sit down on the toilet, and if you don't take out your phone on the toilet, you're lying.
Yeah.
Because without your toilet, we're back to reading the back of a conditioner bottle. So fucking boring.
I do that in the shower. Alright. Back on topic.
But it's really hard, and the information out there is actually, even I know for me personally, so damaging. Like as I mentioned when we were talking to Nico, I'm so scarred by that one piece of information that I've consumed that has terrified me of starting my day with anything sweet.
Yeah.
Because apparently you get a glucose spike and that triggers this and that and that and this is how you should start your day. And I'm like, well, that's not always how I want to start my day. And it's just the access to that information. And so I think, yeah, for me, that's the thing that I'm going to go away, I think. And there's one account in particular, and I love this lady, and she's accomplished so much in business, and she's written a book, and I have the book, and, you know, all this stuff, but some of this information comes from her, and they're the sort of accounts that you need to go, right, what am I really getting from this at the end of the day?
And it doesn't mean you hate that person or this or that. It's just, it could even be a case of that information in particular doesn't serve you personally. So it could be something that does work for a huge group of people, or even another nutritionist who is serving other people in a certain way. But if that doesn't serve you any purpose and you are looking at it and going, I can't do that because that is not going to be sustainable in the whole 5 years that Nico was saying, like, could you see yourself doing this in 5 years? Like, it could be an account that is simple as that. Like, I couldn't do it. It could even be simple, like a coaching style or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm not a CrossFitter. I'm not going to look at CrossFit accounts. Like, why? Why am I consuming that?
Exactly. And it can be where you are in the actual journey as well. So it might not be that those accounts you have to, if you love them and there are bits of it like it, just take away for now. Just remove it for now. But I think that's
just mute their posts or something.
Yeah.
You don't have to unfollow. It doesn't need to be
a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, really watching what you are consuming, because it's hard when there's so much out there. And then really, I think what I got from Nico is bringing it back to basics. So yeah, it's fuck off with the fad diets and bring it back to the basics. And they don't have to look like just chicken, broccoli and rice.
Yeah.
I mean, you were telling me about one of your amazing recipes.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I work with Nico for myself personally. Like, she's my nutritionist. But before I started working with her, I actually have been working with her for my clients. So as a personal trainer, it's out of my scope of practice. If your PT has no qualifications in nutrition, I'm going to say what you have to say in return. It is not in your scope of practice to be offering your plans macros that are calculated from TDEEs or MyFitnessPal. I work with a nutritionist. She does the nutrition side of my clients through me. I give that advice to my clients. So I've seen firsthand what that looks like and how her processes work, and it works. It does work, and it takes a lot longer than your 1,200 calorie diets. But even working with it with myself right now, I don't come from a background that has struggled in many ways when it comes to food. I've got quite a healthy relationship with food, and that comes down to my upbringing all the way till today. And I looked at all her recipes and the stuff that I'm going to be making and cooking, and one of them was a whole ass, I think it was called bird and brie burger from Grilled, and it's got brie cheese in it, it's got all yummy sauces. I literally did a happy dance for like 10 minutes last night. Dylan made it, followed the recipe, it had chips on the side as well, and I was like not even sitting on my chair normally, I was on my knees dancing with this burger, having the best time because it tasted so fucking good. But it had all of your nutrient dense foods. It had the chicken, and it had all the veggie in it, but it had foods that just tasted good as well. Because you can. Because why not? Like, I'm not going to eat that burger every bloody day. I'm going to sick of it. But on a night that we feel like having a takeaway, for us, not wanting to eat takeaways goes to money. We don't want to go out and buy food all the time, and we feel a little bit crappy after it. So we went and made these burgers, and we got 2 burgers each out of it that we can now have today as well. Whereas for like a quarter of the price as well. And that's what her recipes look like.
That's amazing.
So she's got like heaps of different recipe books that I get access to, and some of them are just your regular everyday meals with your different proteins. You get chicken, lamb, pork, beef, everything. And then some of them are like your takeaways. So really delicious recipes that taste like a takeaway, look like a takeaway, but the nutrients behind it is a lot higher.
Yeah. So it can be done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And my clients, they get access to some of these recipes. She's made me ebooks as well that I can give to my clients, and they get to access the recipes on there and all the different information. So the process does take longer, but it is very positive.
Yeah.
And I've been working with her for 2 weeks, and in that 2 weeks, I feel bloody fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, it's good.
Yes, exactly. And Nico is a wealth of information when it comes to nutrition, so we will have her back on. So if you have any questions about anything nutrition related, please send them through to us. Let us know, fill in the form, comment on our feed, send us an email, whatever it is. And we can use those next time that we chat to Nico.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we can ask her those questions. She'll be more than happy to answer.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us again. This was a little bit of a longer one, but we really wanted to include a little wrap-up of our thoughts after that amazing interview with Nico.
Yeah.
And we will see you on the next episode.
See you next time.
If you loved this episode, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss a chat.
And we love seeing where you're listening. Tag us in your stories at Bras Off Walls Down and let us know your favourite takeaway.
Got a question or a topic you want us to cover? Slide into our DMs. We love hearing from you.
See you next time.